We're back once again, standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. A classic old railroad turned highway town on old Route 66. That legendary highway has now been rolling through downtown Winslow for 100 years. So in addition to its Native American history, cowboy history, Wild Western and railroad history, Winslow now has 100 years of layers of old highway cafes, diners like this old original prefab Valentine diner, garages, tire repair shops, trading posts, gift shops, old roadside motels and hotels, anything and everything to do with highway history, both dilapidated and restored, that the Route 66 traveler craves. And yet the one thing that pulls all the travelers off the interstate into Winslow, the one thing everybody wants to get a picture of, get a selfie with, and brag to their friends about visiting is this: the Standing on the Corner Park. Inspired by that one line in the Eagles song, "Take It Easy, I was standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona." If you stand out here long enough with the members of the Eagles in statue form, you will see wave after wave of people coming to get a fun pic and stand on the corner at the park here, right on old Route 66, inspired by that line in the song. And the crazy thing is, that song, "Take It Easy" by the Eagles, came out in 1972, which, if my math is correct, and I'm no scientist or anything, was 54 years ago, which is more than half the length of Route 66's entire existence. Now, the park was only dedicated in 1999, so that's only 27 years ago. But for more than half the time, Route 66 travelers have been rolling through Winslow, Arizona. They've been doing so with that famous line from that famous Eagles song stuck in their heads. Of course, like I already showed you, there's a lot more Route 66 history here than just standing on the corner, because I mean, on every corner and every block, you've got amazing highway history, including this right over here, the 1904 bank building, which had such a wonderful restoration that in 2004, it got the Good Job Award. My son London and I, who are on our 100th anniversary Route 66 trip, are trying to make our way eastwards as far and as fast as possible today. But if the song has drawn visitors here for more than half of Route 66's lifespan, there's no way we couldn't stop in Winslow, Arizona and stand on the corner. Although if you stand on this corner and you try to get a selfie, a fun pic to send to London's grandma, then the whole Route 66 shield is just in front of you, right? You're not getting it in the fun pic. So really, you gotta go stand on the opposite corner in Winslow, Arizona. Cross the street, cross the other street. Oh, see, look, this is gonna look way better. Just gotta wait for people to be done with their fun pics in the middle of the street, which, by the way, I've never seen before. I've seen people stand on the corners. Very rarely have I seen people stand in the street. For the record, as an experienced Route 66 traveler, I don't recommend doing that in the middle of the day. You will really tick off the local residents of Winslow. They're already not too keen on the traffic on the corner. No. I recommend coming over on this corner and getting the sick selfie. You see, patience is a virtue. Sick pic! What a fun one. We nailed it. It only took several dozen minutes. All right, mission accomplished. Now we're just gonna take a quick trip into the Standing on the Corner in Winslow, Arizona gift shop over here. And we gotta make some tracks. Normally this store is blasting out music all over the corner. But today there was a guy out there playing and singing the blues, so I guess he got the shop to turn off their outdoor speakers. Look at this though, it's crazy busy in here. They're doing a brisk business in this shop, all from one line, from one song, 54 years ago. Look at the size of that selection of merchandise, all based on Taking It Easy. Dude, this is amazing. Big guitars are common, especially on Route 66, but rarely are the big guitars ever strung with actual gigantic guitar strings. That thing could conceivably be played. Too bad it's an acoustic guitar. Not that I have anything against acoustic guitars, it's just that me personally, I like to rock and roll. Now, I was just out here a couple of weeks ago, which is why we're kind of flying past this part of Arizona as fast as we can. Yesterday, we did make it to the Grand Canyon for a little while, but we realized once we got there that it was so late that we had to kind of hurry and scramble in and out of the place. Made our way through Flagstaff. We were gonna blast through Winslow too, but then I realized, nah, we gotta sleep here and wake up because we got to stand on the corner. Plus, we have a little delivery to make not too far east of here at another one of the most iconic stops on the whole of the Mother Road, the whole of Route 66. It's only about 15 minutes away, and here it is, right on the side of old Route 66, the historic, the legendary Jackrabbit Trading Post. And if you've been watching my adventures for the last couple of weeks, you'll remember that the last time we were out here, just a month and a half ago or so, I had delivered Cindy and Tony, the owners and operators of the Jackrabbit Trading Post, the greatest hot sauce ever made, the Randomland Julio's Jalapeno hot sauce. Yes, I'm heavily biased, what of it? I wanted them to be the first people on Route 66 to have and to sell the Randomland hot sauce, and they keep selling out of it. So London and I have brought them a resupply. Oh, it's always good to be back. All right, time to hop on in and make our special delivery. I love historic, authentic Route 66 places, and it doesn't get more historic or authentic than the Jackrabbit. What's up, Tony?
Hey, how you doing, bud?
We have brought you supplies.
Free supply?
Yes. Look at this, they were down to their last bottle. In fact, this bottle was already sold, but now they're resupplied with 24 more bottles of the good stuff. Do you think it's hot?
Not good.
See? Okay, it's not too hot, right?
No, not too hot.
Okay, I figured you were a man that could handle spice.
I can handle the spice.
Some of my friends are like, it makes my head sweat. You know, you never know. I love Cindy and Tony. I love the Jackrabbit. Look at this. This is great. Business is picking up here at the Jackrabbit because we are in to road trip season. Summer is upon us, and the 100th anniversary of Route 66 is quite a big deal. And even those who aren't going to travel it on the 100th, there's going to be so many people who hear about it because of the 100th. Gas prices are a little high right now, but other than that, things are looking up for all the mom and pop small businesses on Route 66. Not only is it Route 66's 100th anniversary this year, by the way, this also marks the year that the Jackrabbit Trading Post has been here for 77 years as well, since 1949. So the Jackrabbit Trading Post is not just celebrating the 100th anniversary, but also 77 on 66. This is where I'm very tempted to recite the whole history of the Jackrabbit Trading Post to you, but I won't do that because I just did that a couple of weeks ago. So go back and find the last batch of Route 66 videos, and you can learn all about it, its origins in Joseph City nearby, and the fact that the Jackrabbit recently acquired another historic Route 66 trading post that we thought was lost to history forever, and they're actually reconstructing it here on the property. So there are big things ahead in the future if all of us keep stopping here, buying t-shirts, buying mugs, stickers, hats, etc. Or in my case today, an oven mitt, gnomes, Native American pottery, Randomland hot sauce, whatever. Gotta support the businesses that you love. Also, when you come to the Jackrabbit Trading Post, do not miss the little history room, right? It is so full of curios, bunnies from around the world, little pieces of Route 66 history, old authentic signs, the old original cash registers going all the way back to the 60s and earlier. You can sign the guest book. You can take a fun pic with this handmade Route 66 sign that I gave to the Jackrabbit Trading Post. And most of all, you can talk to Cindy and Tony and hear authentic stories from people who were literally born and raised on Route 66. All right, I want to linger. I want to linger so bad, but we want to squeeze in as much adventure today as possible. So we're gonna make like a tree and get out of here. Oh, also one last thing when you come in here, use extreme caution when looking at the baby rattlers. Just trust me. Right, Tony?
That's right.
Accidents could happen. Be very careful. A blessing and a curse to have friends all over the country. Sometimes you can go for so long without seeing each other, and then when I do get to see them on a day like today, it might only be for a little while. But the road is calling, London. The road is calling, boy. We've got to saddle up and ride like the wind. Whoa! All right, next up, just down the road, we're headed towards historic Holbrook, Arizona. But before we get there, all along this stretch of the interstate and the old highway, you'll see billboard after billboard for Geronimo, the Geronimo Trading Post, a Route 66 institution. Just gonna go and check up on it real quick. It's all I've heard lately is sad news. Standing out here on the side of the highway, I've got to say, it is true. The Geronimo Trading Post is still closed. Unfortunately, both of the elderly owners of the Geronimo, the recent owners, have passed away. And I guess whoever inherited the trading post lives far away or lives out of state. They don't live close enough by to run it themselves. And it was sort of open intermittently there for a little while after the owners had passed away, but it seems like for this 100th anniversary year of Route 66, for the time being, it's gonna remain closed. Which is a bummer, because even the outside of the Geronimo Trading Post is insane. Like, look at the size of that petrified log right there. We're very close to the petrified forest National Park. They have some old roadside plywood teepees in the backyard there that we can't get access to now. The old wagon cactus garden. The Geronimo Trading Post has been around for quite a long time. It's been operating in this location since at least the mid-70s or so. And look at this, they purportedly have the largest piece of petrified wood in the world right here on their property. Look at the size of that thing. It's about 2 alleys tall or 10 feet high. Like I said, often claimed to be the world's largest petrified tree, but really it looks more like the world's largest petrified stump, unless these are all pieces of it, of course, and then I believe it. Look at the size of these pieces, actually. I'm always mystified by the stump, by the big old thick piece there. I mean, we all like to look at the big old thick piece, but these are smaller pieces. These are quite girthy as well. And I've never really I've been out here 1,000 times, I've never really noticed. They must all be part of one absolutely massive prehistoric tree. Look at this, you can see all the teepees out here are boarded shut. The wagons are silent. The replica Navajo Hogan over there is closed. There's a lot of cars in the parking lot, but these cars have been parked out here for years and years. I don't know if they were employees, families' cars, or just extra cars parked out here. Some of them have broken windows, have been broken into quite recently, apparently. There's a lot of outbuildings here, so I'm just hoping somebody's at least caretaking, watching the property. I've never seen anything about it coming up for sale. There's no for sale signs on the property as of May 2026, but this seems like the kind of place and the kind of classic tale as old as time where it's ready for some new ownership. So if any of you out there are looking for an old classic Route 66 business to buy, get a hold of Cindy and Tony. Probably know who the owner is. Get a hold of the Geronimo people. The good news is that it all still looks mostly intact. The bad news is, yeah, it looks like it's closed at least for the 100th anniversary year. All right, on to Holbrook. Geronimo! All right, time to get off the interstate, back onto old Route 66, rolling into the town of Holbrook, Arizona. All right, speaking of the 100th anniversary year, one of the new things in Holbrook, which is the first thing you see on the old road if you're coming from the west, or the last thing you see if you're coming from the east, is right here in Heward Park. Along with a whole bunch of petrified logs, they have added this, a brand new drive-through Route 66 shield. These are becoming all the rage on the Mother Road, mostly because they're easy to construct, and most of them are basically simple plywood structures with a simple frame. This, though, is one of the most elaborate I have ever seen. First of all, it's got lights right here to light up your car as you drive through at night. It's got its own murals on either side of the shield, and then up on top at nighttime, this thing glows with the power of 1,000 suns, with glorious Route 66 neon. That's an impressive shield. And even more impressive, look, it's double-sided. Oh my gosh, what will they think of next? Now, as I say, we're trying to move through this part of the country quickly, mostly because this is kind of my home stretch of Route 66, right? Anything kind of west of Albuquerque, between Albuquerque and Los Angeles, I can get to relatively easily any time of year. We're still trying to keep our eyes open for anything new, anything added here for the centennial celebration of Route 66. And I think things like this are awesome. Yes, there are a lot of them popping up on Route 66, but that makes it even better that there's more than one, because then when you're doing a Route 66 road trip, pretty soon it's gonna be a thing. You'll have to collect them all. I love freaking Holbrook, Arizona, dude. It's a dry and dusty town. But like I said, when we came through town a couple of weeks ago, it is just so full of classic old roadside architecture, restaurants, old roadside motels in every state of repair and disrepair. One of those towns that clearly has seen its most prosperous era disappear into the past, but yet somehow still holds on with the skin of its teeth. With all these derelict old buildings, has a lot of promise and a lot of opportunity for anyone creative enough and willing to work hard enough to make it happen. By the way, would you look at the size of that gun right there? No, look at this, just across Hopi Avenue from us, just across old Route 66. And oh, look at this, just across Hopi Drive from us, just across old Route 66. The old Wigwam Motel is still going strong. Much like standing on the corner or the "Here it is" sign at the Jackrabbit Trading Post, this is one of those places that's so iconic that I can't pass through town without at least making a little stop outside. Built in 1950 and one of only 3 remaining wigwam villages in the United States, the old wigwam motels. This one was built by a guy named Chester Lewis and opened as Wigwam Village number 6 after he licensed the idea from its original inventor, Frank Redford, who had built the first one in Cave City, Kentucky. In the 1930s, we've been by that one as well a couple years ago. After the interstate came along and bypassed this part of Route 66, the motel fell on hard times and actually closed down, with only this front gas station portion remaining open for a little while until the family repurchased it, restored it, and reopened it, leading to it being added to the National Register of Historic Places. Something commemorated by this billboard ever since at the entrance to the wigwams. And it is still available for use by sleepy travelers along Route 66, even now in the centennial year. Which begs the question, have you slept in a wigwam lately? No, I haven't, but I wish I had. We're gonna give it a try. But like I said, we gotta blast through, man. We are headed to Albuquerque tonight, I hope. We're at least gonna get as far east into New Mexico as we can tonight, and then try to take the road a little more low and slow after that. Arizona Route 66 is almost like its own thing, right? Sorry about that. It just feels illegal to come through Holbrook, especially on Route 66, without looking at the Wigwam Motel back there. And it also feels illegal to visit Holbrook without buying at least one piece of petrified wood, because if Williams, Arizona, where we were yesterday, is the gateway to the Grand Canyon, Holbrook, Arizona is the gateway to the Petrified Forest National Park, which is where all these petrified trees are coming from. Now, most of the big pieces, at least the ones clustered close together, are part of the Petrified Forest National Park. Those are preserved, protected. But let's not forget that Holbrook has been an authentic old Western cowboy town for generations, and some of the earliest visitors to the West, the earliest tourists, would travel here by train. And what better thing to sell all those railroad tourists and early Route 66 motorists, if you are one of the local ranchers, than genuine, prehistoric, petrified wood. So you've got like 150 years worth of piled up, petrified wood pulled out of the ranch lands around here, waiting to find its forever home at places like this. The iconic, immortal Rainbow Rock Shop, just off old Route 66 and right on the way to Petrified Forest National Park, and full of epic custom homemade dinosaurs built by the owner, Adam Luna, starting in 1986, with the collection growing in size and scale ever since. Look at this, Holbrook, Arizona, land of the giant dinosaurs, the homemade dinosaurs, all built basically for this shop right here, this little tiny shop. And if you see the owner outside and you're wandering around taking pictures of the dinosaurs, make sure you go in and buy a little piece of petrified wood. But how would you like it if you hand-built a bunch of concrete dinosaurs to entertain generations of roadside wanderers, and nobody came in to buy some of your rocks? And boy, do they have rocks to spare. You can buy pieces of petrified wood of every size and shape imaginable in the Rainbow Rock Shop. Like I said, it feels illegal to come to this part of the country and not at least get a little sliver. So we're heading inside, if for nothing else, to enjoy the hand-painted signs. Just classic. All along Route 66, you see so many abandoned rock shops. Actually, any desert area that used to be popular with roadside tourists, there's always so many old rock shops. Clearly, rock and gem collecting, geode collecting was a lot more popular with the previous generation, right? With the baby boomers and such like, but you never know, it could make a big comeback. When and if it does come back as a big hobby, the Rainbow Rock Shop is ready. They've been playing the long game. The really long game. Dude, I love the pieces like this. They're just like full-on fence posts, right? That's epic. It's my favorite thing right here. The hand-painted signs up against the parking lot. And also this one explaining where geodes came from. They couldn't help but add a little bit of a dinosaur right there. Look, you can get all these huge unbroken geodes. Oh, wow. The inside is where they're keeping the good stuff, all the polished stuff. All this, you can basically see the bark on those pieces right there. That's amazing. Look at the way it shines up if you polish it. Look at all the color. All right, well, we picked out a couple of good specimens, purchased them from the owner, who's one of those guys who never looks happy until after the purchase is done. Then all of a sudden the friendliness begins. And I got this big old fat geode right here. And poor London has been holding this huge petrified log for his grandma for like the last 20 minutes. Okay, go ahead and put it in the car. Get it in the car, boy. All right, we've done our duty. We've purchased some rocks out in the desert, gazed at the hand-painted murals and the piles of petrified wood, wondered at the dinosaurs. We've sort of sampled what Holbrook is all about. And now, just like this train is about to do, we've got to roll out of this town. We got miles and miles to go. There's one place in particular London and I would really like to stop at again. Another legendary Route 66 stop that I only actually saw for the first time on our previous trip 2 years ago. It's this, the incredible Holbrook combination Taco Bell and Pizza Hut up on the upper portion, the later alignment of old Route 66. Because nothing says America like a Taco Bell Pizza Hut combination. No, I'm just kidding. London was just getting hungry before we head off into the desert. Actually, look at this right next to the Taco Bell. Look at this old sign. It says Stone Tree Traders Petrified Wood, Indian Arts and Jewelry. Nothing left now. We got icons disappearing from Route 66 every day. That's why it's really important to treasure the ones that are still around and give massive props to people who restore the gems of the route for future generations. Anyway, now that London is done scarfing down a zesty crunch wrap, we're moving on out to the desert wastelands east of Holbrook and getting back off the interstate here at the northern part of the Petrified Forest National Park. Because back in the day, and I'm talking back in the earliest days of Route 66, before it was realigned in the 50s, the Mother Road used to cut right through what is now the Painted Forest National Park land, specifically a portion of it known as the Painted Desert. And you can see exactly why and how it got that name, dude. Look at all of that color. When you're driving on the interstate or even on old Route 66, which by the way is just, I don't know, 25 yards away or so over this direction, you don't see any of that. All you see is this flat, boring land covered by sagebrush. And then all of a sudden, you're at one of these magnificent edges, and behold, the whole world explodes with color. And I believe this overlook that we were just looking at is called Tiponi Point. And I'm not kidding, if you walk south just a couple of yards from the parking lot, you'll see this weird authorized vehicles only section of road called Pinta Road. And just down below that, hiding in the bushes, it's much easier to see from the air, but you notice that discoloration stretching off to the west here, or to the east behind me. It's slowly being returned to nature, but this is the original alignment of old Route 66, now cutting right across National Park land. Now there are thousands of sections of unsigned, unpaved now, original pieces of old Ghost Road, of old Route 66 like this, all up and down the route, because they would change alignments all the time to shorten the route, to connect different towns, to widen the freeway, make room for more traffic. Whoa, did I say freeway? I should have said highway. This often confuses Route 66 beginners because there is no one old Route 66. It was decommissioned in 1984, 85. So what we have left are the pieces of Route 66 that survived at the end mostly, and little scattershot pieces of earlier alignments that cross the country like little dotted lines. So for super hardcore Route 66 guys, it's like this giant crazy jigsaw puzzle. You could spend the rest of your life hunting for all the little pieces like some great quest of Indiana Jones, and a lot of guys do. Seriously, just across this little piece of painted desert we're looking at, Route 66 used to run right across that ridge in the 1920s, all the way up until 1950. And in fact, from up here at Tawa Point, I can see another Route 66 legend that is miles away, way off in the distance. It'll be so hard to see, even at zooming in at max capacity. That little white blop out there is the Painted Desert Trading Post. That is actually where we are headed, and it goes right down that old alignment, that old Pinta Road. That actually connects to the same road you use to get to the Painted Desert Trading Post, which London and I visited 2 years ago. And I was trying to tease towards visiting today, but I can see it from here. It looks so small and so lonely. Anyway, this, the beautiful Painted Desert as a geological feature, is actually 7,500 square miles of colorful desert. And it was one of the main attractions, along with the Grand Canyon, of coming to visit the Southwest by car. Nowadays, a sizable percentage of the United States population lives on the West Coast or in the West, but you gotta remember, back in the early days of Route 66, 100 years ago, that still wasn't the case. So most people had never seen anything like this. And coming from back east, where your view is always obstructed by trees, I mean, this was like seeing another planet. It's absolutely gorgeous. And just up ahead of us on those mesas there are some of the buildings that catered to those early Route 66 motorists, including and especially this one, the world famous Painted Desert Inn. Woo, it is windy up here today. The first version of this was actually built in the 1920s right here, literally on the edge of the world overlooking the vast and deep Painted Desert. It was privately owned and operated, just one of those places to cater to Route 66 motorists. The first version was actually partially constructed out of petrified wood, but it was later obviously rebuilt and expanded. When the National Park Service purchased the land, I think the CCC worked on it, Civilian Conservation Corps, and then it later became an official Harvey House, so part of Fred Harvey's kind of railroad tourism enterprise. They would bus people out here to see the Painted Desert. And now it's just one of the most beautiful places in the world to use the restroom, get some visitor information, take a geology walk with one of the rangers, but look at that beautiful view. As close as the railroad is, none of this would have been possible without Route 66 blazing a trail through the area, a trail of tourists. All right, it's so windy. I'm gonna get inside the building here. Oh, wow, I've never actually been inside of this building before. I mean, I've been through the park, driven the loop, but never stood inside the old Painted Desert Inn. Look at this. There's the fountain, the old fountain menu, plain ice cream, just 15 cents. Look at those wooden bar seats and the historic old booths in here. This is incredible. What a freaking treasure. Look at this dining room. Absolutely gorgeous. We used to build beautiful things in this country, that's for sure. But as gorgeous as these historical rooms are, they wouldn't be nothing without the epic view. Oh, look at this. They've got an amazing gift shop in here on the upper level, the road level in here, with tons of Route 66 and Petrified Forest souvenirs, with plenty of historic photos on the wall as well. Check this one out. That's what the old lobby used to look like. Look at all those Navajo rugs being woven. And then look at the view out of the back windows here. I mean, that is sensational. Absolutely gorgeous in here. Look at the counter today, and look at the picture of it back in the day. It has been very well preserved. The visitor information counter in a side room, but I'm mostly interested in actually heading down this staircase. Look at this. I just love parkitecture, right? National park architecture is the best. Look at this little snack counter down here. You can still buy ice cream at the Painted Desert Inn to this day. I love all these old pictures of construction. Absolutely beautiful. Hey, there it is. That is the first incarnation of it right there. The stone treehouse, partially built out of petrified wood. That is the thing that was remodeled over and over and over again into what we now see today as the Painted Desert Inn. Much like the Grand Canyon, which we failed filming a whole video at yesterday, but we did manage to see. This national park is one of the original main attractions that today is a slight deviation from a Route 66 trip. But as I pointed out, Route 66 used to cut right through what is now the national park. So really, unlike the Grand Canyon, which is like an hour, hour and a half out of your way, this is right on the original Mother Road. Dude, 10 out of 10, highly recommended. This is right off the interstate. You know, you would never know what you're missing if you just cruise right on by. Fantastic. What do you think? One of the stops that's actually worth it?
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Nice, beautiful, historic. Very strong winds. It actually blew one of my books out of London's hand and over the cliff, but he went down and retrieved it. I've said this in other videos, but once again, return on investment, yes. Now, if you continue the loop through the national park and keep driving towards the rest of Petrified Forest National Park on it, the little loop that goes up to the Painted Desert Inn eventually crosses old Route 66's original alignment again. So right before the National Park Road crosses the freeway on its own little nifty bridge, there is an acknowledgement inside of Petrified Forest National Park of the original historic Route 66. In fact, these days, it's even got its own entire pullout and interpretive sign. Look at this, there's even an old fender or an old bumper or whatever you call it from an old classic car embedded into the pavement here. And then they've got your classic old vehicle, 1920s, 1930s automobile. I'm not a super car guy in terms of encyclopedic knowledge out here to kind of denote the road. Look at that, the Highway of Dreams, talking all about how Route 66 used to come directly through the national park. It says it's the only national park in the country with a portion of historic Route 66 within its boundaries, then stretching off in either direction behind and in front of this car is the old ghost road, the old ghost track of the original alignment of Route 66, which once again, in the national park portion of it, or at least on this side of it, they've got a line of old historic telegraph poles kind of marking the route. Actually, where this car is down here, you're actually to get the best view of it, you kind of got to stand on the wall like London is doing. So apparently when they ripped up all the old pavement, you can see stretching back off towards the Painted Desert Inn, there's kind of a mound in the middle of where the roadbed used to be. You can actually see the faint traces of the roadbed stretching all the way back towards Holbrook, and even see a piece of the old paved road far off in the distance. All right, well, since the bridge up ahead does not connect back to the freeway, London and I actually have to drive backwards through the national park, another 5 miles, back onto the interstate, and then up another couple of exits, because we're gonna try to revisit and get up close and personal once again with what we saw from the edge of the cliff over there, the Painted Desert Trading Post. Kind of an ordeal to get there. So like I said, Route 66 is no longer all one piece, right? You gotta take the freeway. Ghost London in sky. Oh, hell yeah, look at that. Yippee-ki-yay! And continue east on I-40 for about 7 more miles till you get to the exit for Pinta Road. But ironically, as we're headed towards that exit, I can actually see the Painted Desert Trading Post once again way off on my left in the desert. If you know where to look, man, that thing sticks out like a sore thumb. So from the National Park exit, back on I-40, 7 miles east, off on the Pinta Road exit, over the bridge, over to where the sidewalk ends, where there's no more pavement, and then down kind of a rough and ugly looking dirt road until you get to a fence on the dirt road. Now you could do this in a 2-wheel drive car. Most of the time the road isn't that bad unless it rains and gets wet, which is why I'm a little bit trepidatious about those clouds over there, but hopefully we'll be okay. Hopefully. All right, here we are. We've reached the gate. I love this because this is like the Area 51 of Route 66. What you do is come up to the gate, and there's a phone number printed on the sign on the gate. You call said phone number, and one of the gatekeepers gives you an access code for you to unlock the padlock and cross on to the privately held land, which houses Pinta Road, the old original alignment of Route 66, which leads you 3 miles backwards to the Painted Desert Trading Post. So if you're following me, you do 7 miles, you go up a mile, and back 3 miles. Look at this, it's amazing, isn't it? Original Route 66 alignment, just chilling out here in the middle of nowhere. All right, London's making the call. Let's see if we get access. All right, London has been given access granted to Randomland. Now we just pass through the gate, locking it behind us, and drive the 3 rough and rugged off-road miles, or unpaved miles, I should say, back to the Painted Desert Trading Post. Oh yeah, dude, this is awesome. And what a view. I mean, it looks a little nicer when the sun is out, but look at this, as we're driving, I can see little bits of the original road surface, the original paved surface of Route 66. Underneath us on this road. That is amazing. See, this is what I love about Route 66, the wide open spaces. It's not that I'm not a fan of the city portions of Route 66, it's just I'm much less of a fan of those as of this. This feels like an adventure. Dude, and there it is. There it is down below us. The Painted Desert Trading Post, the jewel of the desert, the 7th wonder of the Mother Road. There it is, dude. Now that's a beautiful sight. Dude, that was worth every bumpy part of that dirt road. Because as I just said to London, this view right here, this is the kind of view you dream of when you daydream about traveling old Route 66. Look at that, Dodge Windsor's Painted Desert Trading Post. And right here from the doorstep, from the threshold, if you look off behind the trading post, you can actually see a little bit of the actual painted desert we were looking out over from on top of those bluffs. The national park is literally right out there. In fact, where we're standing, we're surrounded by it on 3 sides. It's just this little portion of land that has remained private and off limits to visitors and sort of cut off from any contiguous part of the old route. The history of this trading post goes way back. It's hard to see, but if you look out across the river, which by the way is called the Dead River, there's a small ranch house over there, and that is where Dutch Garland Windsor and his wife Alberta moved with their herds of cattle to take up ranching right here on the edge of the Painted Desert sometime in the 1930s. It only took him a couple of years of sitting here watching the traffic rolling by gradually increasing in volume and seeing so many tourists coming out this way to the Painted Desert before they decided to establish their own Painted Desert trading post right here on the side of the main street of America. Of course, they sold Native American pottery and baskets and blankets, pumped gasoline out here for the tourists. Can't remember what kind of gasoline, but I know it does say on some of the signs inside the trading post today. They were totally self-sufficient and off the grid. I believe they had a windmill to power a generator. And because they had so much fuel, they probably had a gas generator at some point as well to power their electricity. That old Western windmill would have pumped up the water from the well. This truly was the middle of nowhere. And for years, throughout the entire 1940s, old Dutch Windsor and his wife Alberta, at least until they got divorced in 1948, and she sort of leaves the narrative of our story, lived and worked right out here catering to Route 66 travelers. This was always on private property for years and years, but visitors did come out here occasionally, brave visitors, and look at the state of this place by 2018. It was completely disintegrating, falling apart, the roof was sagging in, the walls were leaning, and that's when a group of concerned citizens of Route 66 got together, the Route 66 Co-op, and with a little grant money from the National Park Service, I think. Oh yeah, right there, the U.S. Park Service gave them a little bit of a grant and other fundraising money, some donations. They were able to save the historic structure using as much of the historic original wood as they could, although you can see where some of the repairs are. Brace this up, put a brand new roof on it, straighten her out, put all these interpretive signs on the walls, and some of the artifacts that they found here during the reconstruction, as well as some original pieces with original paint on them. The cool thing was that Dotch and his second wife, Joy's daughter, was still alive while they were working on this project, which must have really helped their research and preservation efforts. You can read all about it if you come out here to the trading post. Oh, and incidentally, it was Gulf gasoline. By the way, Dotch's second wife, Joy Nevin, there's a road named after her in Holbrook, Arizona, to this day. So the family was a vital part of the community. I love these little ceramic shards, right? These little remnants of the past discovered around the property while they were doing restoration. Unlike Borat, they do not have a window from a glass. They have this kind of mesh, this steel mesh here to sort of protect the window frames, keep animals out. That door sure looks original to me. Hard to tell from room to room to room, but yeah, this property is still private and still maintained, I believe, by members of the Route 66 Co-op. I know Roman Rich has a lot to do with providing access and the upkeep of the property, although he lives in Missouri, I think. I'm sure there are many other people involved whose names I don't know. If you have the time to do some reading, they've got a whole notebook out here with these laminated pages with all of the history, the preservation efforts, photos of all the reconstruction, National Park Service grant report, and if I'm not totally mistaken, you've got pieces of Native American pottery, some potsherds in here, as well as some other ceramic pieces and old bits of plaster discovered around the property, old bottle caps. So if you find anything on or around the property, you're supposed to bring it in here and kind of leave it on the table for other people to experience and enjoy. I'm gonna leave a whole fistful of Randomland stickers out here. Having said that, do not stick any stickers in or on this building or anywhere near this building or on this property. If you come out here and one of these is left, take a sticker, stick it somewhere else. This is cool. It looks like there's a bunch of original pieces of the walls and the original paint there. Some of these old cans. It's kind of amazing to think that this is one of those oases in the desert that people used to come to. You can imagine how exciting it would be, right? To come here in 1946 or 7 or whatever and run out of the car, your dad's filling it up with Gulf gasoline, talking to old Dotch Windsor, and you come inside and you can get a souvenir or get a sody pop. By the way, here's the names of some of the people right here who were part of getting this project off the ground. 2018 really wasn't that long ago. I mean, this is a pretty recent project and kind of a novel experiment when it comes to Route 66, getting that many people to kind of collaborate, cooperate, do fundraising from the Route 66 community, and preserve a piece of American history, hopefully forever. Absolutely freaking gorgeous. When my great-grandfather, Alexander Preston Campbell, decided to move his family down to Southern California from Ontario, Canada, up from Toronto. In 1955, I believe, they went over the border, got a brand new car in Detroit, and then took Route 66 all the way from Chicago to Los Angeles, and then they later went back and forth, back home and back to California on many subsequent vacations. Well, my Nana, shout out to Nana, their daughter, and her brother, my Uncle Bud, of blessed memory. They tell me stories about going across Route 66 and showing up to little desert trading posts like this and having to pay 5 cents for a glass of water or whatever. Just getting excited about being able to use an actual toilet, things like that. I don't know if they ever would have come here because as far as I understand, Route 66 was realigned around 1950, which means that Dodge Windsor's supply of steady customers would have also been cut off right around that time. I'm not sure exactly what year that would have been, but you know who I could ask? John and Sandy, the local caretakers of the Painted Desert Trading Post, who just happened to roll up to meet us. Hey, look at this, your guys' names are right down here in the concrete. That's how I know you're legit, right? That's your idea.
Yeah.
Do you know what year this got bypassed, this section?
I don't know the exact year, but I think it was around 1955.
1955, okay. So it's possible my Nana could have rolled down here when they moved out to California, but my grandpa on my mom's side, he used to be a truck driver in the 30s and go up and down Route 66 between St. Louis and California, so he would have come here.
I can actually show you up the road too. It shows where they made an on and off ramp too.
Really?
You can actually still see it. Right
So you know all the secrets
I
out
know
here.
a
Okay, so
lot
all the
of those
books
secrets
I
out.
ever read about this place said that Dodge originally moved to that ranch house across the river. But you're saying that when you guys were out here restoring this place, when his daughter was out here, she said this behind you was the living quarters?
Yes.
So there was no wall in here when you first got
Yeah,
here?
when we first got here, there was no wall at all.
So you guys rebuilt this, and then they lived in this little space right here?
Yep.
And then that was a bathroom?
And there was a bathroom back in there around the
Did
corner.
they share the bathroom with the tourists?
Probably not. They probably went somewhere.
I hope not, yeah.
That would be your pipes for the sinks and everything else.
Oh my gosh, so that's the original plumbing?
Yeah, original plumbing.
So how much of the slab that we're standing on, how much of the concrete is original?
It's original. What you're standing on, all that's cracked right here is original. You can see right here. This is where we did it.
Okay, so you guys just had to do it around the edges where it
Down
was
the edges,
crumbling and
yeah.
stuff? It's amazing. And so all this is original?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is so freaking cool. It's cool to be with somebody who was here while they were working on it and actually knows. And so now you come out here and take care of the place?
Every week we come out here to check on it just a little bit, and it takes about once a month we have to come up here and clean up all the weeds. and
Yeah,
stuff
that
like
must be bad. Do you ever get snakes in here?
I have heard people have said there's snakes in here. That's why I tell people when they come in here to be careful. Not to get the snakes and stuff.
I was in Jericho Gap last year, and I almost stepped right on a huge rattlesnake. The first rattlesnake I ever saw on Route 66 that wasn't in a museum, and I almost stepped right on his head. Hey, John is telling me that the bullet holes up on the building, those are original. So those aren't recent bullet holes. Those are bullet holes from all the years this thing sat out here abandoned. They patched some of them up, but left other ones out here so you could just kind of get the vibe, right? Look at that.
Painted the signs up here, the Dutch Windsor, and painted it. Well,
Jerry
it was a group-
McClanahan.
Jerry McClanahan, the one who wrote the
Yeah, the Easy Guide.
The Easy Guide.
That's crazy.
And then Shelley Graham. Shelley Graham. Yeah, she did these. But it was a
awesome.
corporation of a lot of people. We all got together and
It's like a
painted
lot of
little bit.
legends of Route 66 got together, and then a whole lot of people did a whole lot of fundraising.
Yeah.
It's so amazing to preserve something like this. See, people can work together when they try. Okay, now we're getting all the secrets, because look at this original piece of concrete around the side door. It's got somebody's name, something Benny. It looks like July 1946.
When you see Benny, that was probably a Navajo.
Yeah.
Because they had a lot of Navajos out here selling stuff all the time too. So
That's so cool. Dude, that is the coolest thing ever. Having literally the caretakers, the keeper of the flame, some of the gatekeepers, coming and showing us some secrets of old Dodge Windsor's Painted Desert Trading Post. There's another secret down here by the river I was referencing, which by the way is called Dead Wash, or on some maps, Dead River. There's an old original concrete Route 66 bridge down here. You can no longer drive across it. But look at this, look what John just clued me into. This is a big Route 66 secret. I didn't know you could open this and get closer. Thanks, John. You can still read Route 66 right there. What was it, painted onto the concrete probably?
yeah, I would think it was.
Painted or etched onto there. And you could just faintly see that. The highway marker right there.
It's just good because it's not on the sun side, so it didn't get all bleached out.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it just happened to be in just enough shadow
Yeah.
to survive. I just asked John a really stupid question. I was like, do you know if this bridge has a name? And he goes, yeah, Dead Wash Bridge. Like, oh yeah, duh, that makes sense. Okay, so last time I was out here 2 years ago, I was crawling around down in the Dead Wash because there's all these old abandoned cars, like ditched out cars, roached out cars, all up and down the side of the wash, and an old car towing trailer down there. I could not figure out why there were so many cars in the ditch unless someone was stealing them and throwing them down there. But then ever since then, I've had 100,000 comments where people have told me, no, they used to put old wrecked cars into the sides of the creek, for erosion. Yep. So I just wanted to say for the record, I know, because people keep telling me, like, hey, just so you know, there's old cars in the creek for erosion. I know, but don't anybody come out here and try to mess with these cars or move them or tinker with them, because they either belong to the co-op or they belong to the national park. And either way, you don't want to tango with those boys. Dude, look at that freaking bridge right there. That is sick. All right, John is closing up the barbed wire fence. And we're gonna make our way back up the 3 miles back towards the freeway. Dude, I love when stuff like that happens. Nothing about that was pre-planned, right? John just happened to recognize our voices there when we made the phone call and came cruising out here to meet us. Let us know some of the secrets of the place, some that literally I could not reveal on camera. Unfortunately, there's just too many boneheads out in the world who like to ruin a good thing. So make sure if you ever come out here, you're very respectful. Keep in mind, it took a lot of teamwork to make the dream work out here. Just appreciate what's left of the old bits of the Mother Road and the bits that people put back together for us, like Humpty Dumpty. Oh no, wait, Humpty Dumpty didn't get put back together. Just enjoy the journey. That's what it's all about. Don't take stuff with you. Except my stickers, you can take those. I left them there for you. All right, well, huge shout out to John and Sandy for coming out here and showing us the secrets. Like I said, John has a YouTube channel, but he didn't want me to say what it was. He's like, I don't want it to get too popular. Weirdly, John actually lived in LA and Orange County and went to the same high school London did. So it's a very small world. No matter how big it looks. All right, we gotta blast ourselves through Eastern Arizona now. We gotta make up for lost time because we have personal business to attend to, not a joke, in Albuquerque tomorrow morning. So we gotta gun it out of Arizona, across the border, into New Mexico. There's no right or wrong way to do Route 66, right? Sometimes you gotta do it fast, you gotta use a lot of interstate cheating, fast forwarding. Sometimes you have the luxury of being able to do it low and slow. Luckily, after today, London and I will be able to afford the luxury of a lot more time, taking a little bit slower pace. I don't know about you, London, I've still been having a heck of a lot of fun out here, blasting across Arizona on the main street of America. You having fun?
Yeah.
Yes. This interview is now over. He does talk, I promise. He just doesn't want to talk to you. Not that he doesn't like you. He's just bashful. All right, just one more stop before we get to the border, because here's another kind of sad Route 66 update. My friends, Fort Courage has gone the way of the buffalo. An old replica of Fort Courage, used as a truck stop, a trading post, a place for travelers along I-40 to gas up and refill with Taco Bell. Yes, there was a Taco Bell in there at one point. This is one of those places I used to actually stop with the band and gas up when we were on tour. Let's all stop at that fort that's got the Taco Bell in it. There was a whole replica fort here. Just a couple of years ago, London and I came through here, and I have filmed the ruins and remains while it stood here abandoned for years and years. And just recently, it's just been freshly razed to the ground. All that's left is this replica Navajo hogan. Maybe there's a real hogan. Maybe that's why it's still standing there. And the old tower of Fort Courage. Ah, sad to see it go, but it's cool that I got to experience it in the last legs of its life in the early 2000s. And then as a ruins, I hoped somebody would buy it for years and years, but that's a Navajo friend of mine pointed out. He's like, listen, man, it's kind of on the res here, on the Navajo Nation, basically. And his words, not mine. He was like, you think we want to rebuild the white man's fort as a fun attraction? I said, touche. So anyway, there it went. Gone. Erased from existence. The old Fort Courage and the old familiar Taco Bell. Well, anyway, that's all she wrote for Arizona. We did eventually make it to the border of New Mexico, to the state line here, which is sadly looking like it's in sorry condition since COVID. Now we've actually gotten back off the interstate to make sure we cross the state line on old Route 66, right in front of one of my favorite Route 66 stops, the old school original Chief Yellow Horse Trading Post. Unfortunately, we got here a little too late in the day to see the chief, as the old billboards used to say. I can see the ponies have been let out to graze for the night, so we'll have to see our friend, the owner, Scott Yellow Horse, on our way back home to California, I guess. Anyway, as you can see, night is about to fall. We've got to make it to Albuquerque tonight without taking any left turns. So we're saying goodbye to Arizona and hello, New Mexico. More adventures await us as we celebrate 100 years of Route 66. So make sure to hit that like button and the subscribe and all the other stuff so you don't miss any adventures coming up. Ring the bell, all the things I'm supposed to say. And if you want to support these adventures, not only do we have a Patreon, but we of course have the hot sauce, the hats, all kinds of other merch at randomland.com. So please just type that into your browser or check out the links down below. It really does help. I could not do this without you. And for the adventures coming up ahead, we're hoping to take things a little more slow and leisurely and not pack so much in to such long episodes. Fingers crossed, but no promises. I tend to get a little overexcited when I'm on the mother road. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for hanging out. If you ever get a chance to get your kicks on Route 66, I highly recommend it. But if this is the only way you've ever been able to travel Route 66, we are honored to have brought you along with us on the journey. And do not fear, Lord willing and the creek don't rise. If we don't meet our demise, there's a whole lot more ahead. All right, guys, from London and myself, you've done your duty. You can go home and
Sleep well.
come on, a little more enthusiasm, a little more volume.
No.
Come on, just a little more, just a little more.
No.
Sleep, go home and
No.
go home and
Sleep well.
close enough. We've got to saddle up and ride like the wind. Whoa!
Ow! Oh, the groin.